And Yahuwah visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahuwah did for Sarah as he had spoken. So Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the appointed time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzchak. And Abraham circumcised his son Yitzchak when he was 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yitzchak was born to him. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, and everyone who hears of it laughs with me. And she said, Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yitzchak was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Mitzrayim, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. So she said to Abraham, Drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not inherit with my son, with Yitzchak. And the matter was very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. But Elohim said to Abraham, Let it not be evil in your eyes because of the boy, and because of your female servant. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice, for in Yitzchak your seed is called. And the son of the female servant I also make a nation, because he is your seed. And Abraham rose early in the morning, and took bread and a skin of water, which he had gave to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, also the boy, and sent her away. And she left and wandered in the wilderness of Bereshith. And the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she said, Let me not see the death of the boy. And she sat opposite him, and lifted her voice, and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the boy, and the messenger of Elohim called to Hagar from the heavens, and said to her, What is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not fear, for Elohim has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Arise, lift up the boy, and hold him with your hand, for I make a great nation of him. And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water, and gave the boy a drink. And Elohim was with the boy, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Mitzrayim. And it came to be that at that time that Abimelech and Pichol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, Elohim is with you in all that you do. And now, swear to me by Elohim not to be untrue to me, to my offspring, or to my descendants. Do to me according to the love and commitment that I have done to you, and to the land in which you have dwelt. And Abraham said, I swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this deed. Neither did you inform me, nor did I hear until today. So Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech asked Abraham, What are these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? And he said, Take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, to be my witness that I have dug this well. So he called that place Bereshith, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Bereshith. And Abimelech rose with Pichol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And he planted a tamarisk tree in Bereshith, and there called on the name of Yahuwah, the everlasting El. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days. Chapter 22. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham, and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Take your son, now, your only son Yitzchak, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as an ascending offering on one of the mountains which I command you. And Abraham rose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Yitzchak his son. And he split the wood of the ascending offering, and arose and went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And on the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes, and saw the place from a distance. So Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, while the boy and I go over there and worship, and come back to you. And Abraham took the wood of the ascending offering, and laid it on Yitzchak his son. And he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and the two of them went together. And Yitzchak spoke to Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, See, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for an ascending offering? And Abraham said, My son, Elohim does provide for himself the land for an ascending offering. And the two of them went together. And they came to the place which Elohim had commanded him, and Abraham built a slaughter place there, and placed the wood in order. And he bound Yitzchak his son, and laid him on the slaughter place, upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. But the messenger of Yahuwah called to him from the heavens, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the boy, nor touch him. For now I know that you fear Elohim, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted his eyes, and looked, and saw behind him a ram, caught in a bush by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it up for an ascending offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place Yahuwah Yireh, as it is said to this day, on the mountain Yahuwah provides. And the messenger of Yahuwah called to Abraham a second time from the heavens, and said, By myself I have sworn, declares Yahuwah, because you have done this, and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I shall certainly bless you, and I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and let your seed possess the gate of their enemies. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to be, after these events, that it was reported to Abraham, saying, See, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nachor, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Kesed, and Kazo, and Pildash, and Yidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel brought forth Rivkah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nachor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Teba, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Maacah. Chapter 23. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Kivron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah, and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead, and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site, from burying your dead. So Abraham arose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Sochar, for me, and let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver, as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me, I should give you the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which is in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession, in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went into the gate of his city. And after this Abraham buried Sarah his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahuwah had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, "Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahuwah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but to go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Yitzchak." And the servant said to him, "What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" And Abraham said to him, "Beware lest you take my son back there. Yahuwah, Elohim of the heavens, who took me away from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, 'To your seed I give this land,' he sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there." Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nachor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, "Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day, and show love and commitment to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, 'Please let down your jar to let me drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and let me water your camels too,' let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitzchak, and let me know by this that you have shown love and commitment to my master." And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Rivkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nachor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good-looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her, and said, "Please let me drink a little water from your jar." And she said, "Drink, my master." And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand, and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "Let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking." And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahuwah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" And she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nachor." And she said to him, "We have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night." And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahuwah. And he said, "Blessed be Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his love and commitment and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yahuwah led me to the house of my master's brothers." Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Rivkah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Rivkah, saying, "Thus the man spoke to me," that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, "Come in, O blessed of Yahuwah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, "Let me not eat until I have spoken my word." And he said, "Speak on." And he said, "I am Abraham's servant, and Yahuwah has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah my master's wife bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, 'Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son.' And I said to my master, 'What if the woman does not follow me?' But he said to me, 'Yahuwah before whom I walk sends his messenger with you, and show prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son, from my relatives, and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering in the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water, and when the young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yahuwah has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart, then see, Rivkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink. And let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nachor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshipped Yahuwah, and blessed Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show love and commitment and truth to my master, let me know. And if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yahuwah. We are not able to speak to you either evil or good. See, Rivkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahuwah has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yahuwah. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments, and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, do not delay me, since Yahuwah has prospered my way. Let me go so that I go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Rivkah and said to her, are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let go Rivkah their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rivkah and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Rivkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rivkah and left. And Yitzchak came from the way of Be'er Lakai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Yitzchak went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. And Rivkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yitzchak, she dismounted from her camel. And she had said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitzchak all the matters he had done. And Yitzchak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rivkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yitzchak was comforted after his mother's death. Chapter 25. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shubak. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Epher, and Kanok, and Abidah, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzchak, but to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yitzchak, eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Yitzchak and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the field of Ephron, son of Shokar the Hittite. the fields which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be, after the death of Abraham, that Elohim blessed his son Yitzchak, and Yitzchak dwelt at Beer-Lakai-Ri. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mitzrayim, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebaioth, then Kedar, and Adbael, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, and Hadar, and Tema, Yetur, Nephish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Kavila as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim as you go toward Asher. He settled before all his brothers. And this is the genealogy of Yitzchak, Abraham's son. Abraham brought forth Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was 4 years old when he took Rivkah as wife, and the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Aramean. And Yitzchak prayed to Yahuwah for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahuwah answered his prayer, and Rivkah his wife conceived. And within her the children struggled together. And she said, If all is right, why am I this way? So she went to ask Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. And 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. And when the days were filled for her to give birth, and see, twins were in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment. So they called his name Esau. And afterward his brother came out, with his hand holding on to Esau's heel. So his name was called Yaakov. And Yitzchak was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Yaakov was a complete man, dwelling in tents. And Yitzchak loved Esau because he ate of his wild game, but Rivkah loved Yaakov. And Yaakov cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Yaakov, Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. That is why his name was called Edom. But Yaakov said, Sell me your birthright today. And Esau said, Look, I am going to die, so why should I have a birthright? Then Yaakov said, Swear to me today. And he swore to him, and sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank, and rose up and left. Thus Esau despised his birthright.